Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
G'day everyone, welcome to the Insight NBA show, the fantasy fix, I would say for your Friday, but it's not. We're coming at you midweek in the schedule. It is Wednesday here in Australia, and by the time you get this in the States or wherever you are, you'll be catching up because we live in the future here. We're going to have a little bit of a look at the rest of week 8, and this is the show that's all about sell high. We're going to focus on a bunch of players. Mally is not with me tonight. Usually, Mally and I do the show together, but he's provided me his list to go through our sell high guys. We've done our must adds earlier in the week, but this one is huge. So this is the chase down. This is with me, and we are selling high on the following guys. I'm not going to cut to it because this is an interesting argument we can, because he's the number one player in fantasy this year. He is the number one player in the course of the last week. And now I said at the beginning of the year, the number one player to me was Nikola Jokic. I know there was the massive Victor Wembanyama case. It was like Wemby. For me, I was a Jokic truther. Like if I had the first pick, I was taking Jokic. And I did it in every single draft that I had a top 2 pick. And if I got a second pick, I was like, thank you very much, Joker. I did take Wemby in one, and I second guessed myself there. And I found the build, to be honest, I found it a little bit harder. Like it's kind of like the Trae Young theory. And this is the thing, like, just take Trae Young and you can surround him with really lengthy guys and really good defenders, and you'll have a really good basketball team like the Atlanta Hawks, Victor Wembanyama. Just, surround him with another shot blocker or two, so you absolutely just lock down that category, and then give him a whole bunch of scoring and assists. Well, the big thing for me was always his efficiencies. And this is why it's probably sell high on Nikola Jokic. Not that you ever could not sell high on the number one pick, and so it feels oxymoronic to say. But let's just be honest. The man has been an absolute weapon. Now, this week's, we got a bit of a caveat as well. Some teams have played one game in the past 7 days. Some have played 2. Some have played 3, including Jokic. Now, when you play 3 games and with the sample sizes off, you can develop more consistency, or you can show some more inefficiencies or more deficiencies. The man has been averaging 43 points a game. Shout out to the Big Horse who put in chat that he scored more in 24 hours than some certain OnlyFans model. He scored like 102 points, I think it was, in 24 hours. Incredible, like just nuts. In the past 3 games, he's averaging 43 points. He is averaging 16 rebounds. He's averaging 9 assists, 2 steals a game. This is on plus 500, so 550. The free throws, 778. So look, still very, very good. Still, very, very good. And his 3-point percentage has been absolutely bonkers as well. Like he's been a plus 500 guy on the season. So Jokic is playing incredibly high. You take this sample size, and it's all the hallmarks of a sell high. It just is. I mean, you're already selling high because he's like Nikola Jokic, the number one player. But at the same time, what could you glean more from the trade? This could be the time if you ever could. You could get SGA and it's a great middle player, someone who's ranking on the season in the top 5, and you could get another mid-level player, drop your worst guy, and really build your roster if it fits. Now, again, that's a lot to give up, but you could give up and you could get a really hefty return right now. You get a couple of early round picks back and bolster your team. Depends on what you're looking at. Maybe you've got Jokic and you're losing. I don't know how it's possible. But maybe you're not like 1, 2, or 3 or 4 in your league. And maybe the teams that are, you've played and you lost to, and you need to shake it up. Well, this is the time that I think you could sell high on Jokic, because it's been an absolutely phenomenal run. And again, it seems oxymoronic to say it, but it's the absolute time that if you were going to reap the benefits of the rewards, this is the time to strike while that proverbial Joker iron is hot. Also, he featured on the Buy Low show with Skitty and Mally. LeBron James, This week has been the second best player in fantasy. He was ranked outside the top 100 a couple of weeks ago. He has had 2 games in the course of the past week, and he has been phenomenal, averaging 34 points, 3.5 threes. There were no threes for a while. They've come back in spades. It's good to see from him. 7.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists, and 1.5 steals and blocks, respectively. 3 stocks on 600 from the field and 900 from the free throw line. Why is this sell high? Well, for a start, on the year, he's about 49th. Now, last year, he was an end of first round, second round player in 9-category league. So we can say that, let's say LeBron James's base or ceiling is second round. Well, he's playing as a first round player right now. We've seen his regressions. We've seen him get tired. He's had to be a bit rejuvenated. The Lakers have a soft schedule this week. Maybe he comes out the blocks and still hot. But then again, he's going to be worn down. Now, they played, I think it was 5 games in 7 nights recently. And that was the stretch where the king, the once and future king, the chosen one, LeBron James, LBJ, call him what you will, was really down. And so it was a nice prime, like buy a low window for him. Again, though, because he's LeBron James, people don't generally do that unless they're panicking. But right now you can be like, look, mate, this is what he does. The Lakers need him to play like this. And in fairness, the Lakers do need LeBron James to play at this elite level. 34 points a game, 3 threes, 7.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists, and 3 stocks. Yeah, it's really, really sexy on brilliant efficiency. And also the 900 from the free throw line on 5 attempts a game is very good for him. Because remember, let's just say that he's not a phenomenal free throw shooter. He's not a 900 shooter, and he's hitting that from the line right now. So it's a really nice thing, and it makes his recent percentages look very, very sexy over the last week. Trailing in behind LeBron James, this is one of Mally's picks. Mally put down the list of guys that he wanted to send to me. Cade Cunningham was on this list as well the other week. I put him back on for this list for this week because Cade, I know, is one of Mally's guys. We're playing in the Insight League together. I know that he has him. He has been phenomenal. He's been 3rd or 4th, depending on where you look over the past week. On the season, he is 50th. This is buoyed by 28 points a game, 9.5 rebounds, 14.5 assists. Interestingly enough, though, it's the percentages that are very, very good. 520 from the field and almost 900 from the line at 890. This is very, very good stuff from Cade Cunningham. It's elite. This is actually probably better than we've always imagined. Like, I don't think we actually say when we say Cade Cunningham, I've never seen him taken in a draft in the first round. So I don't think even before the injuries a couple of years ago when I took him at the end of the second round, and God forbid that went downhill very, very quickly that year after he only played, I think it was 12 games. But no one openly says, you know what? Yeah, I think Cade Cunningham is a first-round fantasy basketball player. I think in the future he would be, potentially. Maybe. Yeah, I can definitely see it. And this kind of performance shows you why he is so tantalizing. But generally in the second round, we would have always seen his ceiling. But he's had that regression, the injury past, the Detroit Pistons, whatever it is, and he's slipped in ADPs. And on the season, as you can see there, he is 50th. He is playing at a first-round value right now. And I do not think that that is sustainable for Cade at this point in his career. So you could quite easily, and a few of these are narrative jobs, to be honest. You could spin that as like, this is what he's capable of, man. It's finally here. This is it. If you want him, if you almost want to walk in triple-double, you got to pay the piper. And this is why we have sell highs on this, because you could ship him off. Now, generally, the default position of many traders is do not trade. Like, no, I'm not going to trade. Why are you asking? But when you're selling and you have someone who is so just incredibly appealing, like Cade, you can throw something out there. And again, are you mid? Are you leading your league? This is the converse thing. Conversely, if you're leading your league, you don't need to make any changes. Or maybe you just see the writing on the wall down the track and there's a couple of other teams that you're not going to quite be able to get there in a couple of categories and you want to bolster early. Fine. But if you're one of these league leading teams, like people are like, oh, why are you trading Cade? Well, I don't need to trade Cade. I'm leading the league. I want to change it up. That's what I want to do. I want to make moves. I like player X. I wanted him and him. They had him. I sent a trade. Set your eyes on a really high, lofty standard. Again, you could get a nice first round decent player back in return who's going to give you that consistent value. Or what else do you need? He's bringing it across the board. The efficiency's there. We love for it, but he's not known for being that guy. I do see a regression in Cade, and that's why it is absolutely sell high on Cade Cunningham as well. This one is definitely a huge one. This is an interesting one because in the last week in his games before today, he was 97th, and on the season, he was 70th. And this is where you're like, Matty, what are you talking about? Why are you saying sell high on Jalen Suggs now, especially when he's down on what he's been for the season? Well, he's the guy. Let's be honest. In Orlando right now, and this is one of Mally's guys. And I said, Mally, why is he on your list? And he's very good with his briefs, Mally. He says this, small window of extra value before Paolo is back. And that's true because we've got Franz back down the track. The closest returning star in Orlando will be Paolo Banchero. Now today, Jalen Suggs went toe-to-toe with the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo having an incredible game. Damian Lillard on fire. He had a chance to win it for the Magic at the end. Couldn't quite get there. But still, he put up decent numbers at the end of it. And this is what he's going to do. So his numbers on there look really, really good. He's come up to 65th in the past week after today. He is averaging 24 points a game, almost 4 threes, 4 rebounds, only 3 assists for him. But what we like is the 2.8 steals. They're there. But the inefficiency is coming because he has to really carry a much heavier burden of the offense. Now, this is where it's sell high because he's getting the shine. So this is the difference in sell high, guys. It's like, come on, man. It's Orlando is his team right now. He's going to be doing everything. But yeah, that everything also means that inefficiencies can creep into his game, like is shown today. He's still very good. And again, he is the 70th ranked player on the season. And this is a slide down from where he was earlier in the season, where he was a top 25, top 30 player. But you can still get a really good, valuable return by selling that narrative like, come on, man, this is it. Like, it's his team now. And if you want to make a move, this is the time to push in. Now, Paolo could be back next week. But Franz, at least another 3 weeks away after this. He's been out for almost a few days. We know he's going to be out for 3 weeks a month. 3 weeks is ultimately best case. He's perfect. He's healed like Wolverine, and he's back in the lineup. Let's say he's out a month. He is still going to be delivering extra value for Orlando. And then after that time of a month, we can see his efficiencies increase. So we want to sell on him high now while there's attention and get a really good piece back. But let's also make sure that we're giving optimum Jalen Suggs here a good look, because I think that his value from earlier in the season can return when a lot less is expected of him to carry the offense, which it clearly has to right now. And that's where he's sliding in the rankings because of the inefficiencies, because he just has to score. And you saw them, like, I watched that game today, and without Suggs on the floor at times, it was like they were struggling. Like, there was a lot of Goga Badadze, like ISO, which I just think is a lot of ISO for Goga. Like, there's a lot of Goga ISO. And Cole Anthony, a lot of his ISO. So they were just clutching at straws, and they still put themselves in that game with Milwaukee getting it at the back of it. This is another one on the list. He was on my list, and he is indeed on old mate Mally's list. It is Tyler. We need a hero. The Miami Heat is his team. It's his world, and we are all just living in it. He is ranked 9 in the past week and 31 on the season. This is an absolute fantastic pickup from his ADP value over the course of the year. And he has been absolutely flying. Buoyed by 27 points a game, 5 threes a game, rebounds 6, assists 6.3, and he is at 1 rebound. Now, again, it's the efficiency here. He is 580. Whew. Ooh-wee, in the immortal words of Mark Ronson, or whoever it was who rapped on that track. It is absolutely ridiculous. He is one of the top 5 shooters in the NBA right now. The number 1 of the week, by the way, touching on another sell high from the Detroit Pistons, is Malik Beasley. He has been on for Wago. He's been averaging 6.5 threes a game. Holy Mary and Joseph. Waiver wire pickup right there. He has been 15th in the course of the past week. So touching on that one before we get too far away from Cade and linking back up the Pistons thoughts. But third on the list of 3-point shooters by volume right now, hitting threes per game, is Tyler Hero. Now, we say that threes can be really easy to pick up on the wire. They can be. You can get 2 or 3 threes a game quite easily from most players. But getting 5 a game in a game where there might be 3 a week, at the end of it, you're still looking at how close have threes been in your league. Like, there's a lot of shooters. Threes are kind of easy to get sometimes unless you're punting them, and you've just got guys who are just like, oh no, I'm just going to punt 3 points, mate. That's fine. Okay, fair. Not going to have a problem beating those guys. But if there's a lot of shooting in the NBA, and we say that we can get them off the waiver wire, we have access to threes. But if we look at the Miami Heat, if we look at like Tyler Hero's games, we can count on between average of 3 or 4, 15 to 20 a week. And most other players in the NBA are averaging 2 or 3. Well, then all of a sudden we've got this, let's say 3. Now, it might only be 1 or might only be 2 more. But you take that over the 3 games, it's 6. You take it over the 4 games, it's 8. And if you've got another 2 or 3 weapons that are similar in that vein, all of a sudden you start to see the massive jump that your opponent needs to get there. It helps your points. Obviously, 3s are better than 2s, just like the old 2K saying. But this is the kind of thing. But the real big standout for me with Tyler Hero has been the 6 rebounds a game and the 6 assists a game. This has been brilliant from him. The steal a game doesn't hurt. Also, the efficiency, absolutely massive. Do not see it sticking there. Mally and I are like, look, it just can't be that good forever. It cannot be first round. But geez, Tyler Hero is a really sexy trade target that you want to put your eyes on. Absolutely love him. This guy has come in like an absolute rocket on the season. 143rd for my boy Clacko, Nick Claxton from the Brooklyn Nets. 143rd on the season. He has been 27th in the course of the past week in fantasy. He is coming off the game of the season for him the other day. This is what we like to see for him. He is averaging 18.5 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, 3 assists and 1.5 steals and 1.5 blocks on plus 700 from the field. We love to see it. But again, the most glaring thing in his game on volume of 3.5 free throws a game is his free throw percentage. It's been at 570. This is a guy who can get there quite a lot, generally tends to get there quite a lot, and 3.5 a game can really hurt you. So he is an even bigger target for me in a punt free throw build. Nick Claxton has been brilliant. He's been playing very, very well. This is what we hope for him. He was a buy low guy earlier in the season. But again, cracking the top 30 for the first time this season puts up the sell high alarm bells for me, especially when he has been outside the top 100 over the course of the past year. This is what he is truly capable of doing at absolute peak. Like, this is peak Clacko right here. But how long are we going to get that from a team that has openly said they want to shop them? Now, he got the new contract. He might be a bit harder to move off of, but this is a great defensive anchor for this team. He is doing it on both ends right now. I would love to see the blocks come up. If those blocks were over 2.5 a game, if there was one more from Claxton, which is why I love him, the high field goal percentage, the good blocks, the rebounds, 9 a game, love it. The 18.5 points, huge. But he's also had to carry a lot more of the load in only the 2 games with Cam Thomas being out. So Dennis Schroeder is just doing Dennis Schroeder things religiously because that's what Schroeder does. But he's looked to pass the ball, and he's getting it a lot to Claxton in that dunker spot. He loves working off that. You can see it in the games. They've got a great connection. There's a lot of trust for Clacko. He's getting a lot of dump-offs, a lot of putbacks, and this is absolute prime sell high time. Talking about big men in the league, this is another one of Mally's ones, and shout out to him for this one. I love this guy, Herbert Jones. I like to call him this one. I like to call him Herbie the Love Pell. He has been 86 on the week and 125th on the season. You might easily say, but 86 isn't sell high. Well, it is, because his numbers have been very, very good. And I think ultimately, in Mally's words again, quoting from the scripture, according to Mally, Herb, I think he hurts the most out of the team when and if Zion and Ingram return. Messi is locking down the middle right now. Herb is getting the minutes. Trey Murphy, after some struggles from returning from injury, has been fantastic. And now Herb Jones apparently is not tradable. Apparently he won't be one of the guys looking, and we all know that the Brandon Ingram narrative. So this is where the narrative can help you, because Mally thinks that this is the guy who hurts the most when and if Zion and Ingram return. And very well could be the case. But that's when Ingram returns, a couple weeks' time. Zion could be around the same. He could be back in a couple of weeks. Herbie takes a hit. So we sell now. The long-term rest of season outlook for him in that inevitable, hopefully, Brandon Ingram trade will give him more of a bump. But this is why we want to cash in on that now, because again, it's peaks and troughs, baby. Peaks and troughs. It's peak Herbie the Love Pell time. It's going to trough down, and then it's going to come back up later in the season. But can you get a guy who you can remove the trough from? And that's what it's about. Consistency is sexy, giving us what we need to win our fantasy weeks. That is the sexy thing, and that is what the return is that you could get from Herbie the Love Pell, or also known as Herbert Jones. Russell Westbrook, the defensive player of the game for the Denver Nuggets, him holding up that big chain after they played the Atlanta Hawks and getting back on track is huge. And you can see here exactly why it is such an absolute massive sell high on him. One, I don't know the return you'll be able to get for him, but two, it's going to be good considering he's been 172nd on the year. And in the course of the past week, he has been 22nd. Now, Westbrook, doing quite a bit without Murray, and his percentages aren't likely to continue. He is not called Westbrick for nothing. And this is very, very true. He has been fantastic. He is, you know what? Let's just be honest. Maybe not for fantasy purposes. He's not the glory hound of the days past where we could pretty much just be like, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to take the free throw thing. I'm going to get a couple of really good free throw shooters and surround him, because I never know what free throw shooting percentages I'm going to get from Russell Westbrook. Never know what field goal percentages sometime I'm going to get, but at least I can bank on 20 points a game, 10 rebounds and 10 assists, a walking triple-double. Let me roll it out there and see where I can go from that. Easy. He's not that guy anymore. But what he is he's been very good in his role in the Denver Nuggets. Just sheerly from a basketball perspective, he has been doing his job as advertised and what they need in Denver, especially with an injured Jamal Murray. Now, take this into account. He's getting all the minutes and all of the runway in the world, and he has been nothing short of phenomenal. So he's been playing well by all standards for him at this stage of his career. To break it down, he's been averaging almost 9 points a game, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 2.3 steals, and a block. The free throw percentage has been dog shit. He's getting there 2.3, and he's been 286 from the free throw line. That's horrible. So that's going to probably be buyer beware for a lot of guys. But the field goal percentage of 524, look, we like that. And again, the punt free throw teams are your targets. Know your enemy. Know your enemy. Look at the teams on your thing who are, just look up Giannis and just see what team he's on. And you can sell like, mate, look at what he's doing. This is perfect for your build. Look at the assists. Look at the rebounds. These are the counting stats you need, giving you good points, giving you 26 minutes a game. And this is over the last 3. And this is a sell high. This is why Russell Westbrook is a sell high. He's been outside the top 100. It should have been 129. I stuffed the slide up. That's my fault. 129. But when he's rated that low in the season, it is absolutely huge, like for him. And it gets the attention because, let's be honest, most of the time he's been a waiver wire guy. But can you package him with someone for a better return, especially in that build? And you absolutely could. This is one of Mally's picks, and I love how Mally thinks sometimes like this. So when he sent it to me, I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to ship him off to those teams in the league that are punting free throw percentage and be like, hey, look, you're punting this. I want that. I mean, you don't want to take it entirely, mate, but take a guy who's higher than him and you get similar return on. And again, you know who's not going to be hurt, who's going to be consistent, who's going to get the minute tonight, doesn't have to rely on someone's injury to get this minute into production, which Westbrook does have to do right now. So this is why we're targeting him. Another one from Mally right now, big shout out to this bloke. This is Brandon Miller. Now, again, how do you think about it? Miller has ball and Miles rejoining as soon as next game, in the immortal words of the scripture of Mally. And this is interesting as well, because if you look at the season, he's been 46, and in the course of the past week, it is 65. Now, when we're looking at that, it's like, wait a minute, Matty. Again, he's lower this week than he has been during the course of the year. Yeah, again, because these guys, much in the similar vein for Jalen Suggs, have to carry a lot of the offense. And that's exactly what Brandon Miller's had to do. His efficiency has gone down to 430, which we said the other week when it was sell high initially, when he popped up on this show a few weeks ago, that he had a higher field goal percentage. We knew that it wasn't going to last. He's at 25 points a game, 4 threes, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, not even a steal and not even a block, 0.7 blocks per game. But he's been getting the bulk of attention because he needs to have had it. So this is where it's been like, man, it's just been his time. He's been putting up huge numbers, And when you're averaging 25 points a game over your last few games, and they've played 3 games over the past few weeks, the Hornets, he gets that little bit of extra shine. And this is where it's good time to sell on guys like this, because we know it's possibly going to be diminished. Well, it's going to be diminished returns when ball's back, because the man has never met a shot that he doesn't love to take. And we know that Miles Bridges needs his. And although they worked really well together, it's probably just a better look for the outfit of the Charlotte Hornets, with LaMelo Ball leading the way and going absolutely nuts. It's not great for our fantasy game, but again, his touches will go down. So we look at this as a sell high opportunity, and that's why he is making Mally's list on this one. One guy that I've been absolutely tantalized by in the last week, and it was an interesting one because he was on buy low shows, and I had him as someone to watch on our must ads and keep watch show a couple of weeks ago. It is Keontae George. The man has been the 17th ranked player in fantasy over the course of the past week, and this is why it is sell high. It is another narrative spin because he has been the 218th player over the course of the season. But when he is the 17th ranked player, listen to this: 21 points a game, 5 rebounds, 2.5 threes, 5.5 assists. He has been, and this is the thing, not only perfect from the line in his 2 attempts a game, he has been plus 500 in the past week. And this is, again, in only 2-game sample, but he has not been this good all season. He has been, at some points, absolutely atrocious. Sub 300 some weeks from the field. So why do we look at it from this as the absolute sell high? Because this is about as good as the bloke is going to be this year. Second round value, absolutely phenomenal and unheard of for Keontae George. Also, Larry Markkinen, out one, had to do a whole lot of heavy lifting. The next game, it was almost like, you know what, just go out there and be confident. Wasn't passing as openly to Lowry, which was interesting. It almost looked as if the Jazz offense had moved away from Lowry in a way and really just featured Keontae George, Colin Sexton, and John Collins. Like, there were open looks that they weren't passing to Lowry, just doing their thing. And you know what? Keontae George was playing incredibly well. And with that playing well comes the sell high factor, because there is no way that he is going to be able to keep that. Literally, he has been around 400 on the year. To go up over 500 is absolutely phenomenal. Like, this is it. And on the last 2 weeks as well, it has been better, but it's been 440. So maybe there's like my truth, your truth, and the reality that maybe he's a 460, 470, 480 guy. But where he's been in the plus 500s over the course of the past week at 520, I just don't think that exists for Keontae George. And I don't think we are long for this world and seeing Keontae as a second-round player on the season. That pretty much wraps up the whole bunch of highs. Let's go through our sell highs. We've got Jokic, LeBron James, Cade Cunningham, Tyler Hero, Brandon Miller, Nick Claxton, Herbert Jones, or Herbie the Love Pell in my heart, Russell Westbrook, and Keontae George. And we've got some guys who are still absolutely on fire, making the list again for another week. We've got Ja Morant. He's been 56th in the past week, 75th on the season. John Collins continues to be a sell high, or just a, you know what, like the Jazz, just keep him, stick it out and see where it goes, because he's not going anywhere at this point. It's now 8 weeks in. He is 26 in the past week, 32 on the season. I know, like, they could blow it up or he could be traded or whatever thing at any minute. But until that happens, you might as well just enjoy this John Collins who you got off the waiver wire in your last rounds, because this is phenomenal. And Cam Johnson, one of my favorite picks, who was going in the late 90s or early hundreds in some drafts early this year. He has been the 21st ranked player, 24th on the season, especially that again. He is still doing it, and he's been doing it with Cam Thomas out. His value is incredibly well buoyed. So again, this is a guy who could be traded off in a minute. We can't have the same argument about John Collins and then not have it about Cam Johnson. Because if Cam Johnson is one of the guys the Nets are going to move off of, and then he's going to trade and he's going to lose value, it's the same conversation that we're having about Collins. We can't say one is not great when the other's not great. We've got to say they're both playing incredibly well. I mean, career years for both of these blokes right now. Like, this is almost prime Atlanta Hawks John Collins we've seen now for 8 weeks of the fantasy season. Playing well. Cam Johnson, absolutely career year. Trying to lock up that bag, get that trade and get it happening. And you can lock it up all here on Insight, and you can lock up a good 15% off from our good friends, the Standard Squeeze, by using promo code IFS15 to get 15% off all of your year. And you can join our Patreon. Don't forget about it. We have exclusive access. You can ask the experts, get into it, get amongst it. It is right here on our Patreon.
Want to take your fantasy sports game to the next level? Insight Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as preseason draft guides, player rankings, waiver wire advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
Get it all right there. Get it all right here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell down below. Get the notifications turned on for all things Insight. I am at NBA G Wiz, but you can call me Matty, or you can call me G, or you can call me next time. Our Buy Low show is coming up with Skitty and Mally tomorrow night. Be well. Take care, everyone. See you soon.